I'm going to tell a story. I don't think I've ever said this before.
When you came out of the show, you said switching teams was the best thing I ever did. Why were people so up in arms about that statement?
Because I come from a very straight show, I've never made it aware in people's worlds that that could be a thing for me. So I think people were like, what? Where's that come from? Getting too distracted. I was being too much of a perfectionist. Just there was so many things going wrong. And I remember looking at what people were saying and they were like, why is Amber not doing anything? She won the show. People seem to be doing loads more than her. And I was like, what is actually going on? Maybe I've got ADHD. I've functioned this way for 23, 24 years. Why do I need to look into it now? Even after I got diagnosed, I still didn't want to take medication. And I don't know if that's because there's like stigma around medication. I was like, I don't want to change my personality. I don't know what's ADHD and what's actually me as a human being. So I was really scared.
When you have to change and alter your mood to feel happier, people get scared because it's about control and about addiction.
Why? I don't get it. They're like, people are addicted to painkillers, but I think the problem is that the physical symptoms are accepted. The symptoms up here are not accepted.
Amber. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Millennial Mind.
Thank you.
So happy that we're here.
Yeah, no, I'm just excited.
I think this is going to be a great conversation. I've had to be like, don't tell me that, because we keep getting into so much amazing stuff you're going to share. But, you know, I have followed you for a while, and I think a lot of people know you because you won Love Island.
Yes.
So let's start with that. I mean, how
5 years ago, and I was not crazy.
mad.
5 years. Yeah.
So let's start with kind of, how did you get into Love Island? How did you get approached for it?
So I was 21 at the time, and I got a DM on Instagram about, oh, do you want to like go to a hot country? Are you single? And like just mingle with people and da-da-da. And I was like, yeah, I was 21. I mean, not the mingle part, but I was like, hot country, I'm going.
Yeah.
So then I just replied. I didn't really think anything of it. And I went through all the interview process and I got on the show.
My gosh.
Wasn't expecting it at all, really, but yeah.
I actually didn't tell you this before, but I got DM'd about Love Island.
Did you?
But mine wasn't that. Mine was like, do you want to come on our new singles dating show?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I was like, no,
similar.
I don't want to come. I wasn't single, so I was like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And then it was from the Love Island, like ITV, and they were like, it's for Love Island. And I was like, it's a very difficult thing to do, I think.
Do you think?
And I think I knew that because I watched it.
Why?
Did you watch it before?
I wasn't like an avid viewer, but I think I had knew of it and I had seen it a couple of episodes.
Because that's what I was going to ask you. Did you feel like you knew what you were getting yourself into?
No.
So that's what I mean. I feel like I would never do it because I know what I'd be getting myself into.
Yeah.
And I think once you know what you're getting yourself into and you see the effects that it has on your mental health and how every single person in the country is commentating on every single part of your life, you're just like, I couldn't. But so you didn't know that.
Can I just say though, I think not being aware is like probably the worst thing and the best thing at the same time. I think because I really genuinely didn't care whether I left on the first week or whether people resonated with us or how many followers I had or how many brand deals I could get, made it obvious that I was just being myself. Like I really didn't care, so it worked in my favour. And yeah, I think not knowing what I was getting myself into was the best thing at the time. When I came out, it was a different story. I wish that I had have known.
Really?
But when I was in there, I was just like, I was saying what I wanted, swearing, not wanting to date anyone, just being really difficult. But it was just like, I just didn't care.
And what were some of the things that you wish you had known, I guess?
Like, there's nothing that you could know. Like, so even looking back now, I can't say, oh, I wish I had have known this, because it's like lived experience. Like you have to live it to understand. Because you obviously get training in like media training and social media training. Yeah, I don't know if that's the same for every season, but because mine was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, then you get like, we had this like media training. This is how you deal with the press, and this is how you deal with this and that. I remember like rolling my eyes at the time because I was 22 and I was like, I don't care. I'm going to say what I want and do what I want and whatever. But yeah,
I
think
the training before the show or
after.
After, okay.
Because some people don't need it. You know, I think. And to follow on from what I was saying, I think when people have expectations of what they're going to get out of the show, they don't get what they want and then they get disappointed. And I think that contributes to mental health as well, massively.
Yeah.
And I think that people shouldn't go on the show expecting anything because you really don't know how everything's going to pan out at all.
Because it's so like, I guess it's so random, isn't it? Because is the show scripted, by the way?
Not at all. Not at all. I
Really?
couldn't do scripted. I'm not an actor.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't do scripted. It's not scripted at all. Obviously, there's like encouragement to have certain conversations at certain times or whatever, but obviously they're producing a show. It has to be produced to an extent the same way as a podcast is, as anything is. It has to be like a level of production. So it's not scripted, but it's like, it's not 100% natural either, because it wouldn't be a good show if it was 100% natural.
Well, this is the thing. I think, like, obviously, even in this podcast, we'll cut things out.
Right?
And
it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Some of the stuff just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff doesn't make sense with everything else that's being said. It's exactly the same thing.
And how was it with your mental health in the house? So you're 21, you're super young. Did you know anything about mental health at the time? Were you aware of it? Were you kind of, or not really?
I think, yeah, but not in the same way I am now.
Okay.
But I think I was like aware. I think I was a bit of probably a bit of an anxious person, but wouldn't be able to pinpoint that that's what was happening.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that talked about. But when I was in there, I was just having a lovely time.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Until I wasn't, though. But that was because of things that were actually happening.
Yes.
And then I wanted to leave every day.
Because you're being filmed 24/7 and you have no idea what the time is, do you?
No idea what the time is. But to be fair, though, I'm quite a free-spirited babes. I don't mind watching where the sun is, where the moon is, how dark it is. Not knowing the time was not an issue for me.
Really?
No, I don't really. I think that's like a society thing that we've just decided matters. Like, I'm like, I'll wake up when I feel like I want to wake up. And if the sun's out, I'm going to sunbathe. And if it's dark, I'm going to put a lash on and a dress and a heel and I'm fine.
Wow.
I don't need another time.
And I guess you're kind of right, because that is being very free-spirited, because you don't have to be rigid in there. And so there was no wake-up time, right?
No, we did get woken up at certain times.
You
different
yeah, we
didn't know what it was. Yeah.
And so how did that kind of, I know you said you liked it, but until you hated it. So how was that transition, and then how did you end up winning?
I just hated it because I don't know if it was because I liked girls at this point. I don't know 100%. But I started hating it because I just didn't really want to date anyone anymore, and I wasn't really interested.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't interested. After it got to a point and I was like, right, okay, whatever had happened had happened. And I was just like, no, I don't really want to date anyone anymore. Like, I'm done.
And did you communicate that?
Oh, 100%, yeah. I was on the phone to one of the producers actually not long ago, and she was like, Jesus Christ, you were so difficult at times. Like, I remember I got like a text to say I had to pick someone to go on a date, and before they could even find the camera to pinpoint where I was away, and I was with the producer. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. No, you better tell them that I'm not doing. Like, honestly, when I got to the point where I didn't want to do it anymore, I was a bit difficult. So sorry to the producer for that.
So then how did you end up winning?
Because I stayed.
And then you just kind of got over that kind of thing of like, I will just date, or
not really. Not really. Like, I kind of went on one day and then ended up winning. I don't know. For me, it was more like a friendship thing. Like, my friendships were what kept me there. My friendships, being in the sun, being in a bikini, chilling, not knowing what time it was. That was what was keeping us there. Not like, I'm going to find the love of my life. Like, I really wasn't thinking that at all.
Got it. And so you just mentioned just now, you didn't know if it was when you were into girls. When did that realization kind of happen? Because obviously Love Island is the most straight show that could ever exist.
So, right. I'm going to tell a story. I don't think I've ever said this before, but when we're just a heteronormative society and you just don't even think like it's even a possibility. So like, I would have just never thought about girls, and I'd never been around other women that had liked women. Like, I hadn't really been around it. Plus, I'm quite a picky person anyway, as everybody already knows. So even if like people always ask me this question, oh, did you fancy any of the girls on Love Island? I'm like, no, I just didn't. Yeah. But did I fancy the boys? No, as well. So like, I didn't know, like, so I wouldn't have been like, oh yeah, I like girls. I just thought, God, I'm so like, I just can't find anyone. So anyways, I ended up interviewing this girl and I was like, what's going on? Like, I didn't know what was happening. And then I come off interviewing her and I said to my producer, I was like, were we flirting? Like, or have I just got that completely wrong? And they were like, no, I think that it might have been. I was like, no way. Wasn't expecting that.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it all sort of went on from there.
And then after that, did you talk to that girl a bit more? Was it
Went on a
something you
couple of
explored?
dates.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you ask her out?
She asked me out.
So how did that conversation happen? Because were you like, because I think what you've just said is kind of, you were like, I'm unsure. And I think that happens a lot, right? So even in heterosexual relationships, often you can be talking to someone and you're unsure if they fancy you or not. Because this happens to me. Like sometimes I'll talk to someone and I'm like, wait, were they flirting? Are we really, really friendly? Because are they warm?
Yeah.
So how did that then transpire? Because that's so awkward. I've been in that position and I'm like, I don't know if I want to ask you if you fancy me because I do to you, but it's just uncomfortable.
So she actually sent me a DM being like, thanks for being so nice or something like that. And I was like, yes. So then I just carried on the conversation, just like, do you want to go for a drink? I was like, absolutely, I want to go for a drink. Because I needed to know. I was like, is this a thing? Is this not a thing? I don't know. Okay. So it all started from there. And then I was like, yeah, it's definitely a thing.
And then how long after was that Love Island?
Oh, a good couple of years. So Love Island was 2019. I don't think it was 2020. It might have been 2021 or 2021, I think, early.
So a couple of years later.
Yeah, a couple of years later.
Is that when you said switching teams was the best thing I ever did?
No, this was even further after that. So I was deep into the journey myself, but I just wasn't public about it because I wasn't very public about dating regardless. Like, anyways, okay. I wasn't public about it. So this was a couple of years later. And I used to do like Love Island commentary. I don't do it anymore because I don't watch it anymore. Okay. But yeah, I get really into it and I am saying my genuine opinions and I just don't really think about what I'm saying sometimes. Yeah. And I just put it out there and yeah.
And people's reaction was very split, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I said this on another podcast. When I saw it was on like getting traction, I was like, should I just delete it? Or like, what should I do? Because now...
Why were people so up in arms about that statement?
Because I come from a very straight show and I've never made it aware in people's worlds that could be a thing for me. So I think people were like, what? Where's that come from?
It's really interesting. And I'm not saying this is my opinion before you all attack me. Some people are saying that, similar to what you said, how you weren't brought up with seeing anyone who was gay, you were brought up in a very heterosexual environment, you perhaps weren't aware that women could be with women and men could be with men, right? And that women could like both men and women. And a lot of people are saying that because schools are now teaching children about this, it's opening their eyes to something that is kind of new and you have to explore it, and it's something that is kind of a trend. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people and a lot of parents will have to split opinions on this, because obviously we should educate children that, you know, it's not just about a single nuclear family anymore. Yeah. There are families out there who are perhaps gay and perhaps bisexual and transgender, and, you know, we have to be inclusive of everyone. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, some people argue that we're putting ideas into children's minds, and the debate is all around, are you born knowing you like a man or a woman, or does it come later in your life?
It's a difficult one to answer, because I would say I wasn't, but I don't know. I don't know. I can't like give an answer to that, because maybe I was when I was in high school and I just was in a heteronormative society and wasn't really aware that was a thing. But also I will say about stereotypes as well. Stereotypes when I was in high school were like for a girl to be a lesbian or to be bisexual, she was a certain type of girl, she looked a certain type of way, and so I was like, well, that's not me, and I don't like those girls that look like that, so I'm obviously not gay. Do you know what I mean?
Makes so much sense.
So I remember, because I used to go to a lesbian bar. I don't know if that was like foreshadowing in my life, but when I was younger I used to go to a lesbian bar, but I used to like, there used to be like the stereotypical lesbians, and I used to be like, but that's not me. So
I'm clearly not.
Yeah, so that's not me.
That's so interesting.
When I was younger, I know.
And also, I think because this has been kind of a public journey, it's very easy for people to say, I know people did say to you, like, you were being fake. And you were like, I wasn't being fake. I'm just understanding different parts of myself.
On
Love Island, sorry.
Right, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I still get it now. Like, people think I was a liar on Love Island. And it's like, no.
You were so young.
I was 21.
That's what I'm saying. Like, 21 is still a very young age to understand, you know, what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
And how was that journey kind of coming out whilst being in the public eye? Because you were, you know, everywhere at that time.
I think I'm glad the way that it all panned out, the whole switching teams thing, because it meant that I didn't have to do a big grand statement being like, I've come to realize, like some people do, and that's just not me. And so I'm glad that I did it that way, because it was messy and it was perfect, because then it was like, well, it's out there now, so what can I do?
Yeah.
And then I just felt really comfortable after that. I was fine, because I was like, I had done so much before that tweet that I was quite sure of where I was at with it. So by the time that I come out into the public, I was like, well, yeah, that's what it is. So.
And were your family and friends aware at that time as well?
I don't think that they were.
So your mom just like opens her phone and sees this and it's just like, wait, sorry, what's happening?
But I'm the child. If there was a child that was going to do that within the family, it would be me. So
fine.
Yeah, if no one was like, not our Amber, like they'd be like, yeah, fair enough.
Okay,
like,
fine.
I'm not surprised.
Okay, so it wasn't like a big shock to anyone.
No, it probably would have been a big shock. But it would have just been like, she's always done what she wanted, so just let her crack on. Kind of thing.
Funny.
Yeah.
Do you regret going on Love Island?
No. You can't. If I win the show, you can't regret it, can you? Like, it was the best season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it was loads of fun. And I think what an experience for a 21-year-old to have. And the wealth of knowledge that I have now as a 26-year-old, I definitely shouldn't have, but I'm so grateful that I do.
In what way?
In every single way, like dealing with people, dealing with financial things, business, difficult business people, mental health, everything. It's just really like, it really fast tracked us. And like, I have to get my shit together. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
I just did. I have to like get my shit together, kind of thing. But it also made us aware of like my personality a lot more, because my job shifted. So I was a beauty therapist beforehand. I was getting told, come in at 9, finish at 10. You've got this client, this client, this client. Fine, I can do that. Probably show up half an hour late and want to leave half an hour early and have a scatterbrain and be distracted, but I'll get it done. When I come out of Love Island, I had my own business and posting content. Like, if it's an ad, it's different. If it's your own sort of organic content, I wasn't posting it.
Really?
I was getting too distracted. I was being too much of a perfectionist. Just, there was so many things going wrong. And I remember looking at what people were saying, and they were like, why is Amber not doing anything? She won the show. People seem to be doing loads more than her. And I was like, what is actually going on? Like, I don't know what's happening here.
Was there a big comparison thing when you left the show? And was there a massive expectation because you won it? Because a lot of people say people go into Love Island to get those brand deals and to make sure that they kind of launch their career.
Yeah.
Was there that expectation on you?
100%, yeah. And I was getting compared to everyone else. And I was kind of like drowning at this point. I was like, I'm doing the most still. Like, I had all the deals and stuff. But because I'm not such a poster and I'm not like, look at all my accomplishments, and I get distracted and I don't post things on time, and I found it hard to like get momentum. And then that's when I started to think about, like, does my brain work differently than everyone else's? Because like, I'm not doing a good job of whatever's happening right now, like posting ads late or not filming on time or just being distracted, doing everything that I wasn't supposed to be doing and nothing that was like high priority. And then that's when I started being like, maybe I've got ADHD. Yeah.
And then did you go and get tested?
I did. It took a little while because I was like, no, you don't. Like, I don't know why I was like that. Like, I sort of talked myself out of it. I was like, no, you don't. You're just like lazy or whatever. Like, get up and film the content and like post the ad. Like, you're so lucky. You should be like grateful that you're doing this. Like, what's the matter with you? Like, why? Just like push through. And then it got to the point where I was like, nah, like there's actually, I can't do it. I'm at like my limit. I'm not functioning how I know that I could function, because I know that, to be fair, I've done all right considering. Like, I only started medication in September, but I'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I've done all right considering. I think, Jesus Christ, I am lucky, like, that I was able to sort of navigate it whilst dealing with all of those weird ways that my brain works and not understanding it.
I spoke to Dr. Lolita and she told me about high functioning anxiety.
Right.
And high functioning anxiety is when you can function, but you're basically like a duck on water.
Yeah.
And so the duck is swimming, but underneath you can see it flapping.
Yeah.
Its legs all underneath. And that's with people with high functioning anxiety.
Yeah.
And I think ADHD is quite similar to that, right? Like you can be at high productivity, but then want to do nothing.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to manage.
And mine, like my sort of, they call it ADHD paralysis, can be the worst, where I'm literally glued to the sofa being like, okay, I really want to go and get the shopping. I really want to film content. I really need to edit this post. I really need to do this. And I physically cannot do it. Someone could say, I'll give you £1 million to go and do this. And I'd be like, there's something that's just not connecting in my brain. I cannot do it. It's
So
crazy.
Is that the point when you were like, I have to go to the doctor and get this sorted?
Yeah, I think like it got to a point where I was like, I always said, oh, I'm going to post a YouTube video and I'm going to post weekly or I'm going to do this. And I kept not doing it. And it was frustrating myself because I'm not that kind of like person. I don't know how to describe what I'm saying because
No,
I am that
yeah.
kind of person that puts things off, but I wanted to post weekly because I enjoyed it. That was the thing. I enjoyed the film and I enjoyed the editing. I enjoyed building a platform on YouTube, and I just couldn't, for the life of us, get the stuff together to make it happen and get some momentum with it. And so it was at that point I was like, do you know what? I'm going to get tested for it and see if I'm right. Because you don't know. Like, it's like, I've functioned this way for 23, 24 years. Why do I need to look into it now?
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time you think, well, I've done this so far. Like you said, you were doing well.
I was doing all right. Like, especially
You're doing very well.
Do you know what? Like, I was doing all right. Like,
Yeah.
I was surviving. I was making a lot of money. I was living in London. It was all great. And I'm sat there going, there's something wrong with my brain. Everyone's like, oh, get a grip. Like, you've got it easy.
And I think also because a lot of the time it can just feel that you're doing so much. So it could just be, oh, I'm really overwhelmed, which is why I can't manage everything. Right? Mm-hmm. So did you start medication straight away? Or?
No. It took us a long time to, even after I got diagnosed, I still didn't want to take medication. And I don't know if that's because there's like stigma around medication. And like, I was like, I don't want to change my personality. I don't know what's ADHD and what's actually me as a human being. So I was really scared. And then I can't remember what tipped the scales. I think one of my relationships, because when I'm in a relationship, and you're that close to someone, it becomes obvious to them how much you're struggling with certain things. And then that person said to me, maybe I think you should go on medication because like I don't want to see you like struggling all the time when I think that you could do like amazing things.
Wow.
And I was like, fucking hell, I need to get medication.
How do you think ADHD affects relationships? I've never heard that actually.
I think in loads of different ways. So I get distracted really easily. I'm paying attention. I'm very observant, and that's a good thing. But say if I'm out in public and I'm in a restaurant and I'm having a conversation with someone, I can listen to 4 different conversations that are going on around us. I know that they're out of broccoli. I know that the drink that you've ordered's not coming. I know everything. And so sometimes it feels like I'm not paying attention to the person that's sat in front of us.
Oh, God,
So
every time someone talks about ADHD, I'm like, I have that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Like, so little different things. Like, there's emotional regulation as well. Sometimes it seems like I'm being dramatic about something or overreacting about something. There's loads of little ways. This is not relationship
Specific, yeah.
specific, but it was brought to my attention because of my relationship. So say I'm packing a suitcase for something. Once I get to the point where I've got too frustrated, it's not getting done. Cancel the whole holiday, cancel everything. It's not getting done. I mean, no, that was dramatic. I would still go on holiday.
Yeah.
But like, I have to really bring myself back down because I just can't get my shit together to do what needs to be done to get the case closed. and go out the door.
And that can be, I guess that impacted your relationships because it was something that, you know, you weren't able to kind of follow through with maybe?
It didn't impact the relationship, but they were just aware and they were like,
got it.
What the fuck? Like, I've packed my suitcase. What is going on with you? Like, just do it. Just
how
not in that kind of way. Like,
I know
it
what
was
you're
from
saying,
niceness. It was always from a place of love. It was never ever like, you're a mess. Like, what's going on? It was like, I can see that you're struggling, so maybe we should do something about this. I'm trying to think of other ones.
That's so helpful. Because I think a lot of people will be at home right now that are feeling a very similar way, and I say this from a personal perspective as well, is I have looked at ADHD as being able to do millions of things at one time. And I've prided myself my whole life on being able to do that. And it's only when I'm having these podcasts that people keep bringing it up and I'm like, I have that. Or like, I might have that. Or, okay, yeah, that resonates with me.
Yeah.
But I haven't gone and got tested because one, I'm like, well, it feels like ADHD is a bit of a trend. So I don't want to feel like I'm jumping on a trend.
Right.
And number two, I don't want to change that about myself because if I take medication, will I be calm? And then how will I be hyperproductive some days? Because some days I'm like, a lunatic productive and I love it. And there's other days when I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I thought that was last year because I was burnt out.
Yeah.
So I'm unsure.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I exhausted and burnt out or do I have like ADHD paralysis? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And it's weird because even though I'm unsure, I'm not going to get it checked. And why is that? I don't know.
If you're functioning well, then maybe you don't need to get medication, but it's just really like gratifying knowing and understanding how your brain works. So I think the diagnosis for that reason is just important because you just know in your heart. So when you're having those days where you're not doing anything, you can say, actually, I'll give myself a break because of this, rather than, oh my God, I was so productive and then I'm not and I don't know what's happening and do I have ADHD? Do I not? You're just like, I know. And the medication is not about being up here and being down here. It's about bringing it to like a nice level point where you're consistently doing what you need to do at like a normal level, not like productive, like a raging lunatic like me. If I decide I want to clean the house, Jesus Christ, the top to bottom is getting cleaned. Everything's getting pulled out. Yes. And then halfway through, I'm not doing it. But yeah, anyways. And then on a trend, ADHD being a trend. Now, I don't really talk about ADHD too much, but I really want to on TikTok. Because I think it's important, and just because something's a trend doesn't mean anything. The more awareness that people have about ADHD and the more people that go, oh, maybe I have that, I think the better, because the more that we'll understand our bodies and what's going on inside and our brains and our hormones and everything, it's all for the greatest good. True. For individuals. So it doesn't matter if it's a trend. And if lots of people have it, then maybe it's not even a thing. Maybe it's just us as human beings. This is what we're like, and we'll all need to bring it down a bit or bring it up a bit or whatever, you know. So because I did do a TikTok about ADHD, and everyone's like, "Oh, I just hate how it's a trend." I'm like, I actually love it for that reason, and also different symptoms that people have are completely different. There's some that I didn't realize, like emotional regulation. I had no idea that was an ADHD symptom, and then I did my research on it, and I'm like, Jesus, yeah, that's me. But if that wasn't a trend, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have known.
That's so interesting. So the trend of it has actually made you aware of what you have and what you don't have.
Yeah. So I always had an inkling that was going on. I got diagnosed. It was trendy. But then now that it's trendy, I can find so much content about it. And I'm like, it just helps us to get a greater understanding of myself, which I'm obsessed with.
I love that. So I want to talk about two things. First of all, you said emotional regulation.
Yes.
Which you didn't always think. Talk to me about that.
So people with ADHD, or some people with ADHD, struggle to regulate their emotions. So like when we're angry, and sometimes we can't calm down. When we're really happy, we're overly happy. When we're sad, it's like you feel feelings times 100. So like me going through a breakup, like put us in a straitjacket or something, because it's like not good. It's not good. I feel everything intensely, and then I can't regulate myself to get back to like a normal level. I really, really struggle with that.
This resonates with me so much. Mm-hmm. I feel like sometimes when I'm happy, I'm so happy and I can't control it. And I'm like, you need to calm down, you need to calm down. But then I recently had this feeling, I don't know if you have this, when I'm really happy, I almost know that I'm going to feel really sad again.
Yeah. You
So
can't
then
enjoy it.
I can't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but I want to enjoy it. And then I'm like, but I am really happy. But I'm like, you're going to be really sad again. And there are days when I wake up, and this actually happened to me recently, and I was like, I'm really upset today and I don't know why. There's no reason for me to be upset. I've just woken up and I'm just feeling really low. And I don't know how to regulate it. And that is so alarming, actually, because I think I'm getting all these signs and I keep ignoring it and I keep pushing away. And the other thing is people are like, well, women have hormones, but it's not by my period. You know, it's never around my period. So I'm like,
but this is a whole other topic. I feel like we're going to have to do another episode, babes, because this
Why?
is a whole other topic. Because I do HRT as well.
What's that?
So hormone replacement therapy, I have a couple of bits of medication for that as well, because girls with ADHD are more likely to suffer with PMDD, and I hate to sound like this human being like that's. What's like PMDD? Oh, I've got ADHD, PMDD, BF, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to sound like that, but it's true, so I'm going to say it. So PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. I don't have to Google that one. I know what it is already.
Smashed it.
But it's like PMS times 100. So I don't know if it's hand in hand with the sort of emotional regulation side of things, but it's like PMS sky high.
So
wait, not me having to like be like, oh, hormone replacement therapy, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Like I'm a doctor or something.
You're a doctor, aren't you?
I'm a doctor of my own
Rose
body.
Gill. Yeah, I like that, doctor of your own body. So hold on. So what you're saying is that HRT is kind of like PMS times 1,000. So around your period. Oh no.
So hormone replacement therapy can be for a whole load of different hormones. So people that are menopausal can do HRT.
Okay.
People with PMDD, people with PMS can.
Okay. And what's the symptoms you feel?
PMDD is like insane, like sadness, like just feeling like the worst of the worst. I'm not going to get into it because it's like deep, but like the worst of the worst for like 3 days, feeling like everything's going wrong, everybody hates you, everything is the worst thing in the world. Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
So you go into that moment for 3 days and you can't get out?
No.
Is it similar to depression? And what's the difference, I guess?
I don't really know what the difference is because I've never had depression, I don't think. So I don't know what the difference is, but all I know is it's a week before, well, it can be up to 2 weeks before your period, any time. So I noticed because I started tracking what was going on, and I was like, because I'm not like that. I'm very unbothered, unserious, silly. So these 3 days I'm thinking, what the hell, what you doing with Amber? Like, where's she gone? Like, what the hell's going on? Yeah, it was like I was a different person. Yeah, different person.
And has that medication helped you as well?
Yeah, so it's actually hormones. So it's progesterone that I take. Progesterone lozenges and progesterone tablets as well, just to balance out my progesterone, because it was that. So I went to get tested because that's what I do now. I'm like, hang on a second, something's not right. I need to figure this out. That's what I'm like. It's terrible.
I love it.
No, but it is good. It's good. Everyone should be like that. But obviously I'm lucky to be able to have the funds to do, because it's an expensive thing to do. So I got all the blood tests, which I wasn't happy about, but I got the blood tests because it's like, I'm going to have to do something. And then went to like a hormone specialist, and she was like, yeah, I think it's possible and we'll try it. And I've really enjoyed taking the progesterone because my levels were just not right.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting that we don't look at that from like a young age. Like, why we don't learn about these things.
We don't at
Your
all.
hormones are out of balance. These are what hormones. This is what this hormone does. And if it's out of balance, this is what can happen. Like, we don't know anything like that. Like, we don't know anything about our body. Everything that I know is because I've just been like, something's not right. Something's not right about myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything about my hormones. I have no idea what one hormone is, apart from like progesterone and testosterone. Those are the only two hormones I know.
They call vitamin D. Some people call vitamin D a hormone as well.
Wow.
Yeah. But if
So
you don't have a
interesting.
good level of vitamin D, sometimes your hormone receptors, they're not working as well. So I take vitamin D supplement as
I take
well.
a spray as well.
Yeah. A spray, me too.
Yeah, I do that
Not
too.
many
Yeah.
girls know about the spray.
So you mentioned earlier that there was a stigma around taking medication.
Yes.
Did you find that? Because a lot of the time people will say, you're so young, you shouldn't have medication. Did you get that a lot?
I don't really talk about the fact that I'm on medication a lot. So, no.
Is there a reason for that?
I don't know. I think I'm sitting here and I'm quite
Yeah.
If people want to have the chat, I'll have the chat. But I'm like, by the way, guys, I've got ADHD, PMDD, and I'm on loads of medication. Like, I don't just start like.
Hi, my name's Amber, and this is
Yeah.
the medication that I'm on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'm like balanced out by like 15 different. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But like, do you know what I mean? I don't like actively seek out the conversation just because I don't need to. But maybe that is a stigma as well. Who knows?
I think there's a lot of conversations around that, around men and women taking medication and the pill, and, you know, taking medication for depression and taking medication to boost your mood and taking medication to perhaps regulate your mood. Because often when you take that, people associate that with control. So you'll change, you know how you said, is ADHD my personality or not?
Yeah.
And if you're changing someone's mood, are you controlling their temperament or their behavior? That's what I mean by control, because are you changing them? You know, when you take paracetamol, there's not any kind of stigma around it because you're taking that to get rid of the pain.
Right.
I think a lot of the time with pain medication, like when you've broken your leg or you've broken your arm or whatever, there's no stigma around it.
Yeah.
When you have to change and alter your mood to feel happier, people get scared because it's about control and about addiction. Those drugs are related to, if they're going to change my mood, I'm never going to be able to get off them because without them, I won't be happy.
Right.
That is a stigma that people have.
But you know, a lot of people are addicted to painkillers.
I know.
Yeah, it's like the most.
I know a lot of people in my life are addicted to painkillers.
Yeah,
I won't
like,
call them out on this podcast, but they'll know if they know who they're watching.
They're like people are addicted to painkillers, but I think the problem is that the physical symptoms are accepted. The symptoms up here are not accepted. They're just not. You're like, well, go to sleep or drink some water or do something, go for a run or go for a walk outside, get some fresh air, listen to a podcast, and it's like, if you want to listen to this one.
If you want to, please like and subscribe and listen to this
podcast. Yeah, it might
podcast.
help with the ADHD. Like, just put the headphones in and listen to it. No, but I think that just as a society as a whole, we don't really have enough information, and we just have a lot of thoughts about, oh, well, that must mean X, Y, and Z. It doesn't mean anything. It means that I take this because it helps me function better. And if it comes to a point where I don't want to take it anymore, then I won't take it anymore. But it's not about control. It's about balance. Everything is about balancing, because I don't want to feel like I can't get up off the sofa for 24 hours because it's not good to feel like that. So if I can take a little pill and I don't do that, why the hell not?
Yeah.
Who am I hurting? I'm not hurting anyone. I'm getting things done. I'm making people happy because I'm ticking things off my to-do list that I'm supposed to be doing. So
I did a podcast on this with Sid, and he came on the podcast and he was like, you see this pill, this helps me function. And the comments were outrageous.
like what?
They were saying, you know, this generation is addicted to drugs. You're a drug addict now. You've taken the easy route out. You are somebody who has just put a plaster over your problems. And similar to what you just said, go for a walk, go for a run, try yoga. And, you know, he kind of said...
What was the second thing tell us what people were saying again?
Oh.
There was one thing that just really...
I forgot. Because it's classic me.
Hold on.
I said that people said, you're putting a plaster over the thing.
The one before that.
You're taking the easy route.
The easy route, right? I hate that. That is such like a boomer, older generation thing to say. Were we put on this earth to suffer? Like, is that what we're here for? Or we're here to just have a shit time and just be miserable and function really well one day and not? No, I'm here to enjoy. I'm here to have fun. I'm here to be silly. I'm here to do what I want to do. I don't know what this, like, you don't get a gold medal at the end of your life for being like, God, you suffered so much in silence. Well done. Like, why do we feel like that about anything?
That is so true.
I hate it when people are like, oh, you took the easy route. I didn't have to do that when I was young. And I don't care. Like, we're different now. And I take medication because I like being fun and silly and having a great time. And that's what I want to do whilst I'm here. Because I'm not here for very fucking long. And you want me to just be like, I can't get out of bed today. For what reason?
So valid. But
I'm like no use to anyone when I feel like that. So what's the point?
But that applies to all areas of our life. Women suffering see it as the biggest gold medal of like, I did this, I did that, I did this. And even men do that. Like, you have no idea how hard I worked in my life. No. I'm like, congratulations.
No, I'm like, I'm so sorry for that. I'm so sorry. I have 7,000 days holiday. Go on holiday and shut up. Like, they just like to work and they like to struggle and everything. What? Why? I don't get it.
Because I think there's some kind of pride with struggle.
I don't know.
It's actually
don't
such a
get
valid
it.
point.
It's so, honestly, it baffles
I
me.
sometimes think like that because I'm like, pain will give me results. Pain
That's all
is
right in the
progress.
gym, though. In the
Yeah, do you know what I
gym,
mean? Like,
beauty is pain as well. No, I get that. Sometimes it's struggle.
Yeah.
You know? I'm getting my eyebrows threaded. It's fine.
see,
Bit
it's
of
a
filler in my
struggle.
lips.
It's struggle.
But I think that when it's about your general well-being,
Mm-hmm.
come on, like, draw the line. Why do you want people to be suffering? Why do you want people to be depressed? I don't want people to be depressed. I want everyone to be happy and having fun. So let people do whatever they need to do. If they're not bothering me, I don't mind whatever people need to take in the morning to help them crack on.
What did you find it easy to go on medication?
No, I hated it.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
Because I just found it overwhelming because I still have those thoughts that were ingrained in my brain, like what we're saying. Like, why can I not function like a normal human being and just wake up and have a glass of water and I don't have to take any medication? I was like that for ages. It was so overwhelming. And then I just had to journal and do therapy. And I mean, I did therapy way before and I do that weekly.
Yeah.
But I had to just make a conscious effort to be like, no, that those aren't actually my values. So if my friend was like, oh, these are my symptoms and sometimes I feel like this and so I think I'll go on medication, I go, yeah, go for it. So I needed to be like that about myself as well, instead of being like, you shouldn't be on medication, like, grow up.
And did the medication help your ADHD?
Definitely. So I'm still in a period now because I only started in September or the end of August, September. So I'm in a period called titration. Oh God, people are going to think I'm so smart with all the words.
You are so smart.
Today.
You are so smart. You are smart.
I'm in a period right now called titration. So it's basically where you start off on a low dosage and you raise the dosage until you get to a point where you think that that's the optimal results kind of thing. So I went on 36 or 37 micrograms and I think that was too much, so now I'm on a lower dosage, and then when we figure out the correct dosage, that's when I'll just start taking it.
I have to ask you a hard question.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm ready.
Do you think that you'll get addicted to it and never be able to come off?
No.
Okay.
No.
How come? Because and that's not my, again, the questions I ask you are not my questions, like my worries. It's what I think people listening to this podcast who perhaps have ADHD and are really scared to kind of go through that process of you're saying like take a little bit, and then keep increasing. And when's the point where you stop increasing, or when you think, you know, I just want to stay at this for my whole life? Is that a bad thing though as well? Because I've asked you that question as if it's a bad thing to always be on medication.
Yeah, I don't see it like that anymore. Like, I just don't think it's a bad thing. I think that, like you say, we take painkillers, we do all these different things, and there's some reason that this little tablet has got a grasp on everyone where it's like, oh my God, it means the worst thing in the world if I have to take this forever. Like, it doesn't really. It's very easy to do, and you just make it part of, like, your daily routine, and that's it. In terms of addiction, I don't really have the addictive personality. Like, I really don't, and I think that's partly to do with ADHD. I get really bored of things. I want to change things. I want everything like this. So I don't think I've got that. But I think that with the medication, how do I feel? I don't know how I feel about that. Like for other people, I mean. Yeah. I think that you should do therapy first and foremost, and just be really in touch with yourself. You always need to do what's best for you. So you should know, right, okay, I think I want to come off this now, I want to try it, or I'm going to stay on this forever. Or you can never say I want to stay on it forever. I'm going to stay on it for as long as I want to and then come off it. But you just need to be really in tune with your body. And I think in my sort of ADHD journey, I've had to become really in touch with myself and know what's going on and how I'm feeling, and especially when I upped the dosage. The reason that I realised I started getting really irritable, and I was like, because I'm not really, I'm quite a laid back human being.
Yeah.
So I was like, why am I raging all the time? Like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Wow. And then that's when you realised that wasn't the correct dose.
Maybe it's that. So I just like, I'd get my little logbook and I'd journal about it. And I was like, I'm just going to try the lower dosage and see what happens.
Wow.
So I'm just about to start 27 again now, and we'll see where we go from there.
Amazing.
The way ADHD presents in people can be very different. There's very varying degrees. So people would look at me and say, she doesn't have ADHD. She's like not hyperactive. I'm not bouncing around the walls. I'm not like, do I interrupt you?
No.
Sometimes? Did I? A little bit?
No, not at all.
Okay. So I'm more inattentive ADHD than I am hyperactive ADHD. So I'm very much distracted easily. I'm in my head, or I get hyper focused on things. Emotional regulation. Everything that I do is not outward. It's very much all in here. There's a million things going on and whatever. It's not outward presenting.
So interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I struggle with all of those things though. And recently, something's been happening to me as well. When I have so many thoughts, I feel like my brain is going to explode.
Yeah.
And I just think like, oh my God, calm down. And I have to genuinely say to myself, like, calm down. And I have this device now, like it's called a Sensate, and you like put it on your chest and it vibrates.
Right.
And you listen to the sound, and for some reason, because I can't really meditate very well, I find it very distracting. But this, because it's vibrating on your chest.
Sorry.
When I'm meditating, I'm just constantly thinking about something all the time. There's no focus.
Yeah, but you need to keep doing it. I hear people say this so much. I don't because I'm interested in that thing because I want to get it.
It's so good. It's called Sensei, and you put it on your chest, and it vibrates, and then you close your eyes, and it's got this like all these different sounds. So I listen to this one that's like says "om" or like something like that.
So that's meditation.
Yeah, it is. No, it is. Yeah. But I mean, like, I can't meditate in silence. And I can meditate chanting. Yeah. I can do that, no problem.
All right, okay.
I still think of other things. And when I'm doing that, I still think of other things. Because it's vibrating, I feel like I have to lay down. So now I'm sitting. After like 2 minutes, I'm like, I'm bored now. I'll get up.
Yeah.
When you're lying down and you're using it, there's some part of you that's like, okay, let me relax. Like, okay. Like, let me just take... And it's only like you can do 5 minutes and like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really good. And I felt like that's helped me. But... there are days...
You have to give us a link for that because I love that.
It's really good.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there are some days where things are so overwhelming, but I just don't know if it's because I'm managing so many things. And I think this is the whole point of what you were saying in the beginning as well. It doesn't matter if everyone's saying that they have it. It's great because actually that's what's made me realise, like, maybe I do have it. That's what I mean, that everyone I speak to is talking about.
But isn't that so nice? Like, I think that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
I think that's a good thing for people to be introspective and go... maybe I have that, rather than everything being like, no, I'm fine. It's nice to be introspective.
You know what I think it is? You know, with women, I don't know if you feel this, everything feels like you're kind of doing things for other people. And I think like when I was younger, people would say, oh, you shouldn't say that because you're attention seeking. And if you now say you have ADHD, people are like, oh, you're just doing it for attention. Like, you know what you just said earlier around, I don't want to be one of those people that says, I have this and I have this and I have this, because you feel guilty for having those things. But why do women feel guilty for having those things?
Honestly, so this is my number one thing, right? I don't care what people say about me online. Like, oh, she's a bully, she's mean, because whatever. Okay, you don't like that I share my opinions. You don't like that I get involved in arguments. I can be confrontational, whatever. The one thing I never understand that people say about me is I'm attention seeking, because what the hell is everybody else doing on social media? I am the least attention seeking person out of all these people on this app. I don't know why people say that about me, but it's a thing about girls, and especially girls that are strong and have opinions. Everything is attention seeking, so you can't live.
100%.
You literally can't live. We're all on the same app trying to do the same thing. Yeah, I posted that photo. Did I post it for 0 people to see? No, I didn't. I want everyone to see because I like the photo. Do you know what I mean? Yes. Okay, if that's attention seeking, then fine. But we're all doing the same thing.
So true.
We're not doing this podcast hoping nobody listens to it ever. Like,
please give us the attention.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, why are we pretending that, oh no, I'm not, like, nobody, I'm not bothered about, like, whatever. Everybody wants a bit of attention, and we're not doing this. So, like, your story isn't, oh, poor me, everyone look at me. It's like, do people relate to this? This is how I was made to feel.
Yes.
And it's good to share things. I think that's an older generation thing as well. Everything needs to be tight. You know, how much money you make, how much you've got left on your mortgage, how much you struggled. Everything's like, you've got to keep everything a big secret. It's like, no. If we share things, then we'll learn things 100%. About other people, and it's much better that way.
And I also think if you're sharing, like, I didn't share that to rant about it. I shared that to say that we should change the way that we look at our culture and religion, because that isn't religion. The reason it was like that in the past is we didn't have sanitary tools, and because women were meant to rest and women were given that time. I don't see any women right now being given 5 days holiday because on their period.
I would love that.
If they are, no problem, and we're going to respect that, then let's respect all those things. I would bloody love that.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And that, I think that's
no
the kind
pun
of things.
intended there.
That's the kind of things that I'm trying to bring about. It's like you're not talking about things to complain. You're talking about things as a reflection. What can we change? What can we unlearn? And how can we grow? And I think that's the thing with social media.
But also, complaining's fine. Complaining is fine. I'm a bit of a hater. I hate this toxic positivity thing where it's like, oh my God, everyone needs to be like happy and get up at 5 and do. No, sometimes I'm a bit of a hater. Sometimes I can't be arsed with people. Sometimes I want to complain, and that's normal. Yeah. Why have we got to be like, everything's great all the time? There's a balance. Not everything has to be a struggle, and not everything has to be brilliant. Just balance. That's what I like.
So
that's the overwhelming thought of this. I like balance.
I love that. But you mentioned earlier, people online have called you a bully, they've called you a mean girl, and they've said that you're a bad person for confrontation.
Yes.
I feel like we're going to be best friends because I love confrontation.
I'd love a bit of confrontation.
I think it's the best thing you can do.
You know what it is? I like to know where I'm at with people, and I like people to know where they're at with me. And if we skirt around everything and pretend everything's fine, then I've got resentment for you inside. And I don't think that's good for my body. And you've got resentment inside, and that's not good for your body. And I hate that. I would rather just put everything out on the table. If you think I'm a bit of a bitch, then fine. But at least you always know 100% where you stand with this.
I did a podcast with Michelle last week, 2 weeks ago. And she said women are trained to be indirect communicators. And the reason why women are bitchy is because we're not told to be direct. And we're told that confrontation is a negative thing. So then why...
Can I just say, I must have missed that memo. I must have missed that memo of being trained to be indirect.
But don't you feel sometimes that it's uncomfortable to say things directly? Because I still do feel that way. I push myself to say it, but I always feel bad. I always feel guilty.
It's took me a lot of unlearning to get back to where I was. So when I was younger, I was saying everything in everyone's faces. People thought I was rude. And then after getting a platform and having to deal with lots of different kinds of people, business people, whatever, I've become more indirect. And I don't like it, actually. I feel more uncomfortable being indirect than I do direct.
For sure.
And like, I don't want to hurt people's feelings or whatever. It's not about hurting people's feelings. I know I'm a good person. My intentions are always good.
Yeah, me too.
So if I'm saying something to you, it's because I either care or it's what I think is right. And that's the top and bottom of it.
It's so hard because I grew up watching Tracy Beaker. Did you?
No, I didn't. A little bit. She wasn't my number one show, though. So I was SpongeBob, babes. I love SpongeBob. So you're sweet.
I grew up watching Tracy Beaker, so I was like a proper direct, straightforward communicator. And my mum and dad used to be like, "You're so rude," and I was like, "Well, don't let me watch Tracy Beaker then." I don't know if everyone feels this way. You watch Tracy Beaker, you turn out to be a nightmare. Well, it served me well, but anyway, what was I going to say now? I forgot now.
ADHD.
Just call me out, why don't you? What were you saying?
Being direct and rude as
and
when
you said
you
changed. Oh yeah,
I'm getting back now though. Thank God. Something
that I have noticed that I've done recently, and I got called out on it as well, is I'm not a fluffy talker.
God,
I'm not a small talker.
Maybe, right, sorry to always bring this back around to ADHD, right? But when I was on my medication in my relationship, right, she was like, "You're much softer." I was like, "Am I? I didn't realise." But yeah, I'm not fluffy at all. Do you mean like you just say it for what it is and like you don't really think about...
I'm the worst texter. If someone's like, "Hey, how are you? By the way, can we do this?" I'll just reply saying, "Yes, we can do that."
Yeah.
I'll never be like, "Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?"
Yeah, no, I'm the worst. I sent you a message saying, "Oh, like I'm on my way" or whatever, and you just said, "See you soon." But I resonate with that though.
I didn't realise. I didn't realise I did that.
No, I didn't realise you did that until you've just told us. And I think that people would have been like so blunt, but I was like, absolutely fine.
Oh, like, do you think I'm blunt when I text?
That's a yes.
You're quite blunt also though, aren't you?
That's a yes.
We're both like to the point.
English is not my first language.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, I just think I'm quite like that. And
he said he's got an excuse. What's yours?
Well, English wasn't my first language, actually.
Ah, there you go.
Gujarati was. So
there you go. Well, you just use that.
Yeah, that's true. Even though I speak English every single day.
Use that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I have an English accent, so it won't work.
Yeah, it's not the same, actually.
Okay, I need to think of a new excuse. I think I should get tested and then just use ADHD as an excuse for everything. That was my actual next question.
That's like me. No.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of people would say that when you have a condition like ADHD, you are kind of using it as an excuse? And I mean that not, and like, again, this is what I mean. I can't say that in a nice way. I mean that in the less, I need to word that differently.
No, be offensive. So,
Because you know how you said, like, some days you can just say to yourself, well, I don't want to get off the sofa because I know that I have ADHD, so I'm going to allow myself to have the day on the sofa and do nothing.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm trying to ask? I don't know if I'm asking this in the
No,
right
no,
way.
you are asking it, but I don't mind it if it comes across offensive. It's not it's not
Okay.
offensive. So, no, I think it's an important question to ask, and I think that people can use it as an excuse, but I don't use it as an excuse. Like, so say it's like an internal thing for myself. So whenever I'm going through it, fighting it isn't going to help. So if I say, you're having an ADHD moment, get up off the sofa, I'd rather just allow myself to do what I want to do, give myself a sort of time frame, or move slowly, or just be aware of what I'm doing so that I can change what I'm doing. It's not like, oh, I have ADHD, so you just better get used to the fact that I'm running late, like, or don't know what you're talking about, or I've been distracted. It's not like that. It's like, my ADHD is my thing, and I'm just trying to learn the best way that I can to function at my best, basically.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's what I want.
And if people are struggling at home right now with taking that first step to go and see the doctor, or they're umming and ahhing about medication, what's one of the biggest things you've learned that's helped you so much that you think you want to share with other people?
Do loads of research. Do all the research. If you're thinking that you might have it, learn as much as you possibly can about it. Because, getting to a doctor is one thing, especially if you're in this country on the NHS.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. I don't think I would have got medication on the NHS because I'm a very good masker. And, I think that on the face of it, everyone's like, what the hell is she talking about? She's all right. So I had to go privately, but if you go privately, it's very expensive for people. Yeah. So I'd say the one good thing that you can do that's free if you've got the internet is just get online, research it on TikTok, make your own assumptions or decisions on what you think is good content and not good content, because obviously there's people out there that are just talking shit. Go online. There's a website called Attitude.
Okay.
ADD.
I'll link it for people.
Attitude. And it just tells you all these little different bits of information about ADHD. And if it resonates with you, I think the more that you come to understand it, the more you understand yourself. You just start functioning better anyway. The more that I've learned about ADHD, I've just functioned better.
You're so right.
I'd feel more comfortable. I like maybe a couple of years ago, I would have come to this podcast and felt so anxious about being distracted or interrupting or whatever. But I wouldn't have known why I was like that. Or am I going to be funny? Am I going to whatever? Whereas now I'm just more comfortable.
I love it.
And
you look comfortable.
Yeah.
You are comfortable.
Yeah.
And you work great.
Yeah. And I just think when you feel comfortable, you just naturally show up better as yourself. You don't have to worry about what people are thinking or how you're acting or whatever. You just get comfortable. So do loads of research. And if you think you have it, you probably do.
Knowledge is power.
It is. It so is.
It's so important to understand things for yourself.
Yeah.
Not because other people are telling you what to do and what to understand, right? And I think what you just said, there's no shame in researching. There's no shame in acknowledging that you have something. There's no shame in getting tested for something that you think might be impacting you every day. So,
absolutely. But also just to function better in society as well. So if you know about ADHD and someone has ADHD, you can just build a better relationship with them as well, because you understand more what their struggle is or what their perspective is as well.
So true.
I love researching about autism. I love it because I don't understand 100%. So I love doing loads of research to understand about people with autism. So when I come into contact with people I've got autism, I'm like, I know. Yeah. Well, not that I know that you got autism, but I just know how to,
Of course.
which is nice.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's actually such a lovely point, because then let's say you get offended by something, you'll be like, no, I know you didn't mean it in that way because of this.
Yeah.
Makes so much sense.
Just
I love
function nicely in society. That's what I want. To all talk nicely to each other and understand each other.
Well, you are a functionally nice human being, aren't you? Aren't you?
I'm just so nice. No.
So nice. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been so informative and so helpful.
What
so
an insightful conversation.
So insightful.
Who would have thought?
Dr. Rose.
I know.
Thank you for your time.
Started from Love Island and went into deep shit. So
there we go.
It was great.
Thank you.